Hi, and thank you for joining me for this short talk. And friends, today I wanted to talk about an idea that I've mentioned in many of my videos. The idea that this world is never going to end. Is never going to end, my friends. Not even this age or supposed age. What do I mean? Well, so much is built around the notion of the end of days, whether it's in Christianity, Judaism, even Islam. And according to Torah, my friends, there is no such thing as the end of days. Now, how can we build so much on a concept that doesn't appear in Torah? Now, the idea does appear among Midrashim and Agadot, in other words, in Jewish folklore and legend, but that really should in no way affect our theology or our doctrines or halachot, practical Judaism. But it does. Now, why do I say the Torah does not mention the notion of the end of days? Well, we know that in Parashat Bechukotai, in Leviticus chapter 26, it speaks about what will happen, or at least what we're waiting for today. And this also appears in Parashat Nitzavim in Deuteronomy chapter 30. It states that when Israel sins, that the Almighty is going to disperse them all over the world, and only when they repent is He going to bring them back and elevate them to their former glory. And this, according to Torah, seems that it will happen again and again and again. In other words, Jewish history, in terms of exile and redemption, is circular in a way, or cyclical, not linear. In other words, this notion that the earth should exist for 6,000 years, or that we should work the earth for 6,000 years, and the 7,000 years, some sort of millennial reign, was a Jewish midrashic idea that was adopted by Christians and Muslims, and now it almost seems that this is what everyone's shooting for, not the reparation of this world through the mitzvot that were given to us, but some sort of celestial bailout that every individual in the three main monotheistic religions are waiting for, almost nullifying the whole purpose of being Jewish. And I assume the purpose of Israel, after they received the Torah on Mount Sinai, was to impact this world with that Torah, not to await some celestial bailout. Right? I mean, the notion that Mashiach is right around the corner, when the last poll I heard was that 54% of ethnically born Jews were considered atheists. The idea that we're ready for redemption when we haven't spread these commandments to the rest of the world is, my friends, I'm sorry, it's a little absurd. So yes, according to Torah, this world will never end. And to tie in the notion of Mashiach into this whole idea, first of all, the notion of the Messiah does not appear in Torah. Now, the idea of many messiahs is very prevalent in Tanakh. Every high priest, every king, and many prophets were anointed with oil, which is where the word Mashiach really originates from. And in Parashat Shoftim, in Deuteronomy 17, it tells us that when we enter the land and we are ready, we are to appoint a king for ourselves. So, when Israel repents and the Almighty brings them back to the land of Israel, we will appoint a king for ourselves. We will anoint him into service, making him a Messiah. But this king will one day die, his child will take over, and if Israel sins again, we will be exiled again. It may take 1 year, 100 years, 5,000 years, till we get our act together again, and then the Almighty brings us back to Israel. We elect another Messiah over and over again, and this is really the picture laid down in Torah Shebiktav, in the written law. Now, there's a big distinction between the oral law and the written law in terms of metaphysical ideas, in terms of what authority did Chazal, our Mishnaic sages, really have in Judaism. And really, I mentioned this in many videos, that the Sanhedrin only had the authority to establish practical law. Right? How do you do this? Or even how do we understand that? But not the idea to develop metaphysical ideas that are binding on Israel. So, even if we have midrashim that state that this earth is only to exist for 7,000 years in this current stage, and in some way metamorphosize itself. This is just an optional belief, especially when the same Midrashim give other timelines that are never mentioned, just because they don't sound as cool. I mean, think about it. 6 days of creation and the final day of rest. 6 days, or 6,000 years of us on earth, and the 7th year, or the 7,000 year, as some sort of millennial reign. It sounds very cool. But there were many Rishonim, many Achronim who gave different scenarios of how they thought human history would pan out. And the idea that every generation believes that they're living in the end days, my friend, has been going on for centuries. The idea that when God made us, He must have broke the mold. The idea that this is the end of an age or the end of the world makes us, for some reason, not care about the coming generations, but only of the final destination of our souls, which is something that the Torah is also not preoccupied with. Why? Because it never mentions it. I mean, the Torah itself never mentions heaven, it never mentions hell. So why has Judaism, Islam, and Christianity focused so much on it? It seems that our biblical heroes did good for the sake of doing good and not for the sake of some future reward. Now, don't get me wrong. I do believe in some future reward. I believe if the Almighty is a just God, the righteous who are not rewarded in this world must be rewarded in some future world, and the wicked who are not punished in this world must get punished in some future world. But I don't believe that the Torah commands me to believe this idea, because the Torah doesn't mention this idea. So again, let's focus on Torah. Let's not lose sight of Torah. Even when everyone around you is telling you that the days are numbered, that the world's coming to an end, nonsense. If it was important enough to believe, the Torah would have mentioned it. For more information, my friends, on everything Jewish, please visit bejewish.org. Thank you.